This discussion of separation and loss situations would not be complete without a discussion about multiple placements. Some foster children not only are removed from their family and relatives, but they also get moved around from one foster home placement to another, sometimes repeatedly.
Yes, unfortunately, those who live in care for a significant time period often do endure multiple moves. There are some myths involved around multiple placements, though, so let's see if we can break them. Again, in this exercise, we'll present some statements and ask you to choose whether you think each one is a myth or not.
Experiencing multiple placements can result in children feeling reluctant to grow close to others for fear of losing them. Is this a myth? Yes, no, or maybe?
This is not a myth. For example, infants who are placed in foster homes and have successive, repeated moves will experience separation and loss from the primary caregiver, along with attachment problems.
Some foster children miss their siblings most of all. Is this a myth? Yes, no, or maybe?
This is not a myth. In many families where abuse or neglect has occurred, siblings have cared for one another, often assuming the protective role of a parent. Child welfare departments often recognize this fact and attempt to keep sibling groups together. It's not always easy to do that. When brothers and sisters have to be split up, the effects of separation can sometimes be softened by continued contact between the siblings.
Foster children who have been placed in one foster home after another are not affected physically. Is this a myth? Yes, no, or maybe?
This is a myth. Brain research has found that disruptions can affect brain chemistry. Changes in a stress hormone called cortisol have been linked to multiple foster placements.
Multiple moves in foster care can produce emotional and behavioral problems in children. Is this a myth? Yes, no, or maybe?
Unfortunately, this is not a myth. Foster children who originally presented no behavior problems, after a series of moves, develop significant behavioral problems. Multiple placement changes are linked with decreased school performance as well.
For some children, moving becomes the norm. Is this a myth? Yes, no, or maybe?
Unfortunately, this is not a myth. Children who experience multiple placements prior to being returned to their birth parents are more likely to re-enter foster care. When children expect to be moved, they might create a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is, they might act out early on in an attempt to get the expected rejection over with. We have to wonder how these many moves and multiple placements impact their sense of belonging and their sense of self-worth. Why get involved with others if you're going to lose them anyway? It's so important for us to protect foster children from foster care drift, that is, frequent moves and no place to really call home.
As we wrap up this section on the impact of separation and loss in foster care, we need to move to understanding traumatic grieving. Foster children and youth can feel a range of emotions while grieving: shock, disbelief, anger, protest, despair and depression, detachment, anxiety, and blame. These emotions don't necessarily follow in a specific order or time period, but they can be expected as emotional reactions to a loss or separation. To feel these feelings is probably normal. The following slideshow defines the feelings and explains how the child or youth might express them in either words or behavior.
Denial.
I'm not really going to be staying here very long, so I don't care. As soon as Mom gets this fixed, I'll get back home.
Denial is being unable to deal with the reality of what has happened. Here's what you might observe. Some foster children may say things that show they are in denial, but others may show the denial to you by not having an emotional reaction to the move, or they may have a honeymoon period. The honeymoon in this case may relate to their belief that the separation will be reversed shortly. While in denial, the child might not make an effort to learn names or become involved in activities. Anger and protest.
I didn't want to be here. I just want my family back. I didn't do anything to deserve this. You're keeping me from my family. I love my family and they've done nothing wrong. Why won't you let me go home?
Anger and protest means feeling frustrated or furious about the situation. Here's what you might observe. A child or youth can be hypersensitive, angry, and oppositional. That is, just against anything you say. He or she might refuse to comply with requests, or display tantrum behaviors, and emotional angry outbursts and destruction of property. An angry child also might withdraw, sulk, or pout, and refuse to participate in social activities. Bargaining.
If I behave, I'll be sent back home.
Bargaining means the child thinks if she acts in a certain way, she will get to go home. Here's what you might observe. The foster child or youth might act eager to please and make promises to be good. Again, there might be a honeymoon period until she sees that her efforts are not getting her home any sooner. Sometimes a child recants or takes back her allegations of abuse to try to undo what she feels she has done to cause the placement. Depression and despair.
I feel sick today. I can't go to school. I'll just stay here in my bed.
Depression and despair are occurring when foster children seem to give up and feel a huge sadness. Here's what you might observe. An attitude of, I'm not going to try in this foster home, or I'll never see my family again. Or you might see the child is disinterested in being social. Emotional withdrawal and failure to respond to other people are common. These children might be listless or without energy. Their behavior or activities are mechanical, without direction, investment, or apparent interest. Resignation, resolution.
My mom needs to wake up about taking drugs and ditch her boyfriend. He's a scary dude. Right now, my life is a whole lot safer away from him. When he's gone, I'd like to try it with her again.
Resignation or resolution is not the same thing as a fatalistic acceptance and giving up. It's coming to grips with, settling in, or feeling good about the situation. Here's what you might observe. Developing stronger attachments in the new home. The child begins to identify himself as part of the new family. The intensity of his emotional distress decreases, and he feels more secure in the new environment.
Caregivers can help their foster children cope with separation and loss. Of course, each child's situation is unique and will vary in how caregivers can help. Foster parents need to read the child, pay close attention to and understand the child's reactions, and adjust to the child's needs.
The overall goal of foster parents should be to provide a secure base for children. It can be a partial antidote to separation. And in the case of loss, such as the death of a child's family member or a termination of parental rights, foster parents can offer the child needed compassion, understanding, and a safe place to sort out how he or she feels about the loss. Foster parents can provide a sounding board, a shoulder to cry on, and a sympathetic ear to grieving children and adolescents. It is our hope that this class adds to your basic understanding of why some foster children behave the way they do. That is, sometimes behavior problems relate to separation and loss issues.
This is a foundation of information and will help foster parents understand that the child's behavior is not necessarily targeted at them, but is simply a way to express the pain and suffering that he or she has experienced.
The course you have just taken is a pre-service course, meant to be viewed before a child is in your home. Once a child is in your home, there are other classes and trainings available on fosterparentcollege.com that will build on this foundation. They will help you understand the why behind specific behavior problems and offer you solutions to help your child realize his or her potential. This concludes our class. We hope you will print our handouts and add them to your binder. Thank you for participating and for caring.